And welcome to this talk on the problem with solutions. My name is Werner van Zyl, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. Today we're going to talk about the problem with solutions. Now, an egg is a chicken solution to the problem of hatching yet another egg. And the problem with solutions is not that they are hidden because they are complicated. They are hidden because we often fail to see the hidden patterns between the different parts of a problem. You would have noticed my t-shirt, which displays an egg and the various intricacies of how to design an egg. And it is part of something that I'm building called tangible thinking, because I believe that many of the problems that we face today is not because they are intricate or complex. It's because many of those patterns that lead to problems are just hidden. And with my brand, Tangible Thinking, which I'm building, is to make these hidden patterns more visible. And today's talk will be an example of this. Now, if we are to navigate the landscape of problems, we need some kind of map. And this is what I've depicted here. In every complex situation, you have what I believe 5 patterns that tends to emerge. Now, to identify which of these 5 patterns your complex situation fits into, we can pose 5 different questions. I call these 5 patterns islands because this is indeed a landscape. The first one, connections, is about how the different parts of a system are connected together. The second one, structure, is all about how the different parts of a system are organized together. Change is about how a system evolves over time. So in that way, we're not looking at a spatial dimension, we are looking at a temporal dimension. Then we have the influence, which is about what changes the behavior of a system. What are those variables that change the system? And then lastly, we have balance. What keeps the system stable? Or rather, what keeps it stable in an undesirable state? Now, for this presentation, we need to zoom in to one of these islands I call connection, because it's all about how the different parts of a system are connected and how when we overlook one part of a system or a problem, then it tends to lead to unintended consequences. But we can also ask the question, why does this matter? Why is it important? But before we do that, we have to ask another question, and that is, why do solutions become problems? And there are many reasons, and I will give you a few examples. The first one is that in the design domain, every design decision changes behavior, and that leads to behavior that we did not necessarily anticipate, which leads to the second point of the idea that our behavior or the solutions that we bring to problems is that it creates second order effects, some unintended consequences that we did not or could not have anticipated. Another reason why it is important to understand the question of why problems become solutions is because we need to understand that people adapt to a solution. And once they adapt to a specific solution, it creates just new expectations. Now, by a show of hands, put up your hand if you have ever bought a safer car because you value your own safety, only to later realize that you're now driving twice as fast because you have a safer car. Or maybe you were paid by the government to kill an infestation of snakes, only to then realize, but if you breed more snakes, it will bring in more money because you can kill those snakes, take them to the government. And that's just one example of how incentives can befuddle our intentions of solving a problem. The story is actually not quite true about the snakes. It was a story about when the British invaded India. It's, as I mentioned, it's not quite true, but it illustrates the point of how the wrong incentives can befuddle our attempts to solve a problem. We already discussed why it is important to understand problems and solutions. But it's not just designers that have this problem with problems and solutions. It's not just designers who do something to make the world a better place for users in various domains, but then it leads to some kind of unintended consequence. The problems that designers face are also around us in many different guises. And I want you to become a detective with me, because this is indeed an expedition that I want to take you on. We have a map, we have a landscape, we know where we want to go, as I showed you on our map. What is the hidden pattern between the problems that designers face every day and the workplace? The problems that people experience in the workplace, which links back to childhood development. The problems that we experience in biology, which links back to our health. The problems that we experience in business and technology, including artificial intelligence. What is the golden thread that runs through all of these? And we will discuss them one by one. Because problems start from the day we are born. There are three fundamental questions that each and every one of us ask on a constant basis, but especially when we are children. Those three questions go as follows. Firstly, am I being accepted? And by whom am I being accepted? Secondly, am I being rewarded? And for what am I being rewarded? Thirdly, am I safe? And what exactly keeps me safe? Now imagine that you are 5 years old and you have some physical, psychological, or emotional need. But whenever you express that need to your primary caregiver or to your friends or any relatives, family members, you get met with criticism. Eventually, you learn that it is better to stay quiet and not to speak up. So fast forward a couple of years, and that behavior eventually becomes automatic. Whenever you have a need, you don't speak up, but you don't know that you are now suppressing a need, a very fundamental survival, primal need. Now, fast forward another 10, 15 years, and you are in line for a promotion or a leadership position at your company. Now, but your manager keeps telling you that you get passed up for those leadership positions because you fail to assert yourself, to speak up, or to delegate any responsibilities. There's a fine line between what happened in childhood and what happened in the workplace. Now, eventually, if this kind of behavior goes on for too long, it can involve physiological symptoms in which it manifests, such as high blood pressure. So imagine someone now has high blood pressure, and their obvious solution would be to take a high blood pressure medication. Blood pressure medication works, among other ways, by inhibiting the body's natural reflex to lower its tendency to raise our blood pressure. That's why often when people take high blood pressure medication, when they sit for extended periods, the blood in our legs tend to pool all in one place. And when we stand up, we require that quick reflex by our blood pressure, our natural blood pressure mechanisms, to raise the blood pressure so that our brain, which now needs vast amounts of blood, is not starved of oxygen, and we don't become dizzy. But because we're taking the blood pressure medication, and that medication suppresses the natural reflex of your body to regulate your blood pressure, some people report that they start to feel a little bit dizzy. Other side effects also include the brain the heart, the kidneys, and the liver. So the side effects become system-wide and are not only restricted to one specific organ. But you say, okay, it is only in biology that we find these types of dynamics with problems and solutions. Maybe technology is a little bit different, because surely it's not, it's a little bit more immune to these kinds of problems. Artificial intelligence is a great tool, especially for people who are burdened cognitively, whose cognitive bandwidth tends to be taxed in terms of problem-solving abilities, analytical skills, trying to prioritize tasks, decision-making, paying attention, focus, etc. Along comes artificial intelligence, which has the ability to act as a tool for us to offload a lot of that cognitive abilities or that cognitive bandwidth tax to the environment, to some kind of artificial intelligence software, which is great. But eventually, that person who uses the artificial intelligence becomes, because they've offloaded for so long the bandwidth of and their skills, their analytical skills or critical thinking skills also are not being exercised, and as a result they tend to not think as critically as they should have, creating another problem. Now, what about user experience? Is the dynamic the same for user experience as well? Well, let's use an example of someone who is not engaged on an application, whether that is a tablet, a cell phone, or a computer. One way to solve this is to introduce an infinite scroll on the website. This infinite scroll takes away the pause point that we naturally use as a type of cue to tell us whether we should continue on this journey. And it creates this kind of pause point for us. Now, as a result, because we don't have that pause point anymore, we tend to just keep on scrolling, creating unintended consequences. People might become disengaged or using the application in an unfavorable way, or a way for which it was not initially intended. But maybe music can tell us something different about what about problems and solutions, and give us some clearer insights. Let's say that we have a problem in that we want to play a tune on the guitar. One way we can fix that is to play all the notes together that sound good. We can do that because we know what the key of the song is that we want to play. So as long as we play all the notes together that are from the same key, we will have a song that sounds good. And the tune might sound something like this. Now, you'll notice that it actually sounds good. So let's continue. It doesn't take long for us to run into another problem, in that tune that we are playing becomes a little bit monotonous. But we can fix this problem by changing the strumming pattern and adding a few different notes from the same key, playing different chords. It might sound something like this. Now, eventually, we run into another problem in that we have a bunch of chords, but there's a lot of chaos. There is the variety, but there's no familiarity. And so we need something else. We need some coherence between the different chords. Eventually, we run into another problem in that we would need some verses, chords, maybe a bridge, maybe a solo. But the thing is that we eventually also run into a problem. So in the beginning, I asked you to become a detective with me and see if you can spot the pattern that connects all these 5 different domains together: user experience, artificial intelligence, the blood pressure example, childhood, and the music. So let's connect the dots. Initially, for all of those 5 examples, we had a problem. For childhood, it was the fact that you had a particular need, the need to speak up when you have a need. Then, for the blood pressure example, It was the fact that the person experienced high blood pressure, which could potentially be fatal. Then we solved the problem through some intervention, creating a solution. And for the artificial intelligence example, it was the fact that we started using artificial intelligence. For the guitar, it was that we changed the strumming pattern and we added a few more chords. But then something interesting happens in that the system itself changes. In blood pressure examples, it was about how the side effects became system-wide. It not only affected one particular organ, it started affecting all the other organs as well. And then for childhood, it was the fact that those behaviors became kind of automatic. The reflexes went underground and the person did not know that they have these needs. For the user experience example, it was that the user now started experiencing a lack of engagement, regardless of the types of interventions that we introduced into the application. And then eventually it created some new problems. For the guitar, it was always something else that we had to remove or add or change. For the childhood, it was about the fact that they did not get the promotion because they were not aware of the fact that they could not assert themselves properly. And then also for the blood pressure example, it was the fact that you have all these system-wide changes in your body, and then you have new side effects which can affect any of the affected organs. And so for today's expedition, I want to leave you with a couple of questions that you can ask yourself on what you think you can take away from whenever you experience a problem. You can ask yourself these 3 questions, which will help you to identify the pattern. The first one is, what assumptions did I challenge? Did you challenge assumptions, or were you just looking for confirmatory evidence for your current beliefs and experiences? The second question is about, what pattern did you reveal? What did you notice in the various side effects that you experience? What did you notice? And how are the different parts connected to one another? And then thirdly, what should you do differently? Is another question that you can ask. Because if we don't try to change something, then we will be destined to repeat it. But this small part of the problems and solutions dynamic that we discussed is part of a bigger sea of possibilities on this tiny island. of connections. And so two of the further expeditions that we can explore is how people respond to incentives and why people respond to specific incentives. Another question would be to challenge our mental models, because mental models are just that. They are representations of reality, but they are not reality. The map is not the territory. And so I want you to reflect on this question, because for as long as we solve the symptoms rather than the cause, we will be destined to repeat our mistakes, and we will solve for the chicken and hatch an even bigger problem. And so for us, it's not about changing the trying to solve get new solutions to more problems. It's about how can we ask better questions, and firstly, how can we define the problem more accurately. Let's continue this expedition. I look forward Let's continue this expedition, and I look forward to meeting you on this expedition. For more information, please visit my website on tangible thinking so that you can better understand how I think and the philosophy behind tangible thinking. Tangible thinking is all about how patterns connect and that are not always visible, in the same way that this shirt that I'm wearing reveals patterns in an egg that it also reveals in many other domains as well. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next talk.